You are listening to the Cocoa Blend Podcast. Our podcast aims to shatter the misconception that Black parents cannot co-parent without drama. A podcast for moms of faith who are tired of unnecessary conflicts, seeking a positive shift, and eager to embrace harmonious co-parenting in their blended family. In other words, moms who just want to co-parent without the drama. I am your host, Jamie Newton-Knight, motherhood mastery mentor and co-parenting coach. Join us as we navigate through insightful conversations and empowering stories, redefining the norms and celebrating the strength of united co-parenting in the Black community. So turn on that GPS and let's navigate the blend. Hello there and welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Jamie Newton-Knight. I am the host of the Cocoa Blend Podcast, and I'm so glad to have you here. So we are continuing on our road trip. And on the road trip, we are going through the blend framework. And blend, as I explained previously, is an acronym. We talked about the B in the blend framework. If you didn't listen, and the L in the blend framework. If you did not hear what those were, you need to go back and listen. Go back, listen to the last two episodes, and then come back and listen to this one. So in those episodes, we definitely covered what the B and the L in the blend roadmap was talking about. And we also had guests who talked about their experiences that kind of covered those frameworks. So in this episode, we're still on our road trip. We're still moseying around along the road. And our next stop is the E in the blend roadmap. And the E is to expect change. So we have to acknowledge that change is inevitable, right? We know this in our daily life. We know that this occurs. It's inevitable. Change is inevitable. So we got to keep it real with ourselves. When you are going through the blended process, you have to expect change. Sometimes you're met with resistance and sometimes you're met with acceptance. You kind of have to go along with, at the time, whatever the other person is comfortable with doing as well, because if you're met with acceptance, then this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to sit and talk calmly about boundaries. And if you are met with resistance, then you have to understand that that person is still going through their own process. And for them, stepping away might be their form of setting their boundary, right? So you can be met, like I said, with in two different ways. Acceptance, where they're like, yes, I see that you're trying to co-parent with ease. Let's try this thing out. Or they're met with resistance. You're met with resistance because they're like, I'm not sure. We tried this thing before. And then you would pick fights. Or we tried this thing before and it didn't work out well. We couldn't get along when we were in the same space. So you have to understand that just the same way that you have your boundaries, that they have their boundaries. So now you're going to hear a story from another guest about how they navigated change or boundaries. And so you're going to sit back, relax, put on your seatbelt, because we are on a road trip, and you're going to get ready for the third stop on the blend roadmap, which is expect change. God bless. Are you ready to retreat? Then get those passports ready. If you're a mom who's just completely overwhelmed from wearing all the hats, doing all the things, and being everything to everyone, then this is the retreat for you. Now's the time to release the supermom syndrome and practice some guiltless self-care. Join us Mother's Day weekend, May 10th through the 13th, for the Motherhood Mastery Rest Retreat. Go to thecocoblend.com/momsretreat for more details. Hello, and welcome to the Cocoa Blend Podcast. I am Jamie Newton-Knight, your host. Welcome back for all of you who have been here before, and welcome for all you newbies. Again, I'm so glad you're here. I have an amazing special guest today. Her and I share a very similar story, so I'm extremely excited for her to share that with you all. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself. So Miss Shonte, please introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. My name is Shonte. How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
That's awesome. I'm very well. Thank you for asking. So I'm Shonte. I am a divorced mom, bio mom. I have three kids, all very close in age, 10, 9, and 8. My 10-year-old will be, no, yeah, my 10-year-old will be 11 in April. My 9-year-old will be 10 in March, and my baby will be 9 in September.
Oh,
Yes.
and they grow so fast.
So fast. My mom was showing me a video of my 10-year-old the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's been here for 10 years.
I know, right? Some of them have very old souls, and some of
Yes.
them are, some of them have very old, but it's just so interesting to see how quickly they grow up.
Yes, yes, it is. And speaking of old souls, my oldest, his name is Royce, and that's how he is. He has his old soul. He's just kind of like this carefree, laid back, chill guy. My my middle child, she's a girl. That's my 9-year old. She's just so emotional and like all over the
Girl, we
place.
gonna have to talk over here because I have a 9-year-old emotional girl as well.
I just be like, what is wrong now?
Mm-hmm. Everything is extra dramatic.
What
I'm like,
the?
I'm trying. See, I don't know how to deal with all of this, so I'm trying to learn.
Me either, because I just be like, Gabrielle, like, what's wrong?
Yeah,
My
what's happening?
brother. And I'm like, what?
Real, what's happening? Is it the end
Yeah,
of the world? For them, I think it feels that way.
it feels that way.
For
It
us,
feels
we're like, girl, go pick it up and wipe it off. Like it's
right. I say, you do know this can't be resolved, right? Like,
right, right. I think that's been the hardest thing with my little one, my 9-year-old, is trying to
mhm.
show her that like it's not the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
it can be resolved. But then tell me about your baby.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. That's like the hardest thing, and trying to help her navigate those feelings and kind of, prioritize those has been really difficult. But, yeah, we're figuring it out as we go. There is the closest and the best handbook you're going to get to parenting is the word. And so, other than that, we just go day by day.
That's right, life. And how? What about your little one, your youngest?
My 8-year-old, his name is Jeremiah. That's my baby. That's my baby. That was a surprise baby. That was a surprise baby. I was going to get on birth control, and the doctor said, yeah, no, you're not.
It's oops, too late.
You're not. And so my ex-husband, he's in the service, and so literally he came back from Afghanistan, and I got pregnant with Royce, the 10-year-old, and then he went to training to leave to go to on another deployment, and the night he got back from training, got pregnant with the girl, and Royce was about 3 months old, and then he left for that deployment, and then he came back from that deployment, and I think he was at home for about 3 or 4 months, and got pregnant with the baby.
It was like I came home to give you a surprise. Each
Yeah,
time I'm gonna leave you with something amazing.
yeah, that's usually how it works with the military. So I say, you know what? No, y'all don't need to send him nowhere else.
Right? Right. Please.
And so,
Please.
yeah, Jeremiah, that's my baby. He's so sweet. He's so sweet. He's such a cuddle bug, which is something I'm not used to because I'm not like a super overly affectionate person. I'm not a touchy feely person, and he just wants to lay up under me. And so, let me tell you, child, they have taught me to be patient because I'll be like, all right, mommy is hot now. Oh, give me some space.
Hmm.
But, they're really cool. They're really good kids.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that about your family.
Absolutely.
When I asked you, you just what was your family unit like? You described it as complicated, a work in progress.
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit.
It is definitely complicated. Okay, so my ex-husband, we were married for 9 years and separated one out of those 9 years, and then we were divorced. Um, Starting kind of from there, we got married very young and very, very quickly. I was 21. He was 20. He had just turned 20. I had just turned 21, and I was living out in Colorado. Fort Carson was where he was stationed at. I had been living in Colorado for years. Colorado is literally like a second home to me. And so I had been living there for years, and I was in college, and me back then, I was kind of like, I was never a person to stay single ever. So I was literally in a whole relationship when I met him. But my then boyfriend went to jail, and then I met him, and we met, I think, in October of 10. We got married in January of 11. So we got married extremely quickly. Um, After that, like I said, he deployed and he went to Afghanistan. But when he deployed, we knew things would be difficult. But when he deployed, it was just like, it was all over the place. And so when he came back and I got pregnant with our son, with Royce, it was just like, I was excited, but I was like, I don't know if I really want to be here. And then from that point, things just kind of started to trickle and get really bad between us. And so what happened was, how him and I ended up ending was that there was infidelity in our marriage. And by the time we divorced in 2019, I think 19 or 20, she was girl number 4. She was girl number 4, who was also married. She had a child with her then husband, and she was pregnant with her then husband when she met my husband. And she was also in the service, and she was my husband's soldier. And so at that point, she was girl number 4, right? At that point, I'm just like so over it. Over it. I can't keep doing this. I was being a military spouse, I was a stay-at-home mom and wife. That was something him and I agreed to. It's like, it just doesn't make sense for you to go to work and have to pay for daycare. And he's in the service, so he's making enough money. We're good. We're living on all post housing. Everything is good. Right. But when it came to monogamy and him being committed to our marriage, that's just not something that he was. He had this idea in his mind, and he still does, that he wants to take care of me. He wants me to be good. He doesn't want me to want for anything. But it was like, okay, I want to take care of you, but want to be able to do what I want to do. And so the way that they started kind of played a part to where we are now. Because she was very well aware that he was married, and he was very well aware that she was pregnant with her then husband's baby, and that she was also married. And so that kind of, just a little backstory on kind of where we are. His wife, which is number 4, she does not like me at all. She doesn't like me. She ain't never liked me. She'll probably never like me. And I'm okay with that. It's fine. I figure she's dealing with her own conviction. It's how it took me a long time to get there.
I'm sure it did, but it should be taking some time.
Ooh, child.
To work on things for herself.
Yes.
I'm trying to use grace with what she did.
Yes, exactly. It was very, very difficult. And so it's complicated because he's him. I know him. We've been on each other, like I said, since 2010. We have 3 kids together. We were married for 9 years. I know him. I had a lot of time getting to know who he is, and vice versa. And so like summer before, in 22, he came out to visit the kids. Originally, the kids were supposed to go to him for the summer, which was the plan. It had been the plan. That's fine. But then, like, literally a week before the kids were supposed to go, he called me and he goes, I'm coming out there and I'm going to be there for 2.5 weeks. And I said, okay. And so he comes and he just pops up at my door one morning, and he's here. And I carry a lot of my stress in my stomach. And when he came to the door, my stomach immediately turned. I was triggered. He was here, but when he comes and he is here, it's like he doesn't even have a wife at home. And so he will fill up my refrigerator. He pays the bills. He pays the rent. He will get my nails done, hair done, everything. He doesn't stay at my house, but he does all this stuff. And then he wants to come and he likes to kind of want to play this family thing in front of the kids, which is really confusing. Really, really confusing. And so that was in 22. 23, I was trying to be the cooperative parent. And I took my kids out to go be with him. The boys would only possibly be there for a year. I was supposed to pick up our daughter, Gabrielle, in August because she only wanted to stay for the summer. And I took them in June. July, less than a month later, I in TJ Maxx, I get a call, and it's him, and he goes, I want to talk to you about possibly paying for child support while the kids are here. And he said possibly paying child support and me getting a court order. And then he goes, and also I want to talk to you about Gabrielle staying for a year. I said, Gabrielle doesn't want to stay for a year. He goes, yes, she does. She wants to be with her brothers. I said, none of them want to be there. Now, at this point, we've had problems. My kids are literally calling me less than a week of being there with issues. Part of the issues is that they were scared to talk to their dad because he had been threatening them to spank them if they didn't talk to him. And so him and his wife had been grilling the kids. And so less than a week of being there were already these issues that was arising. And all three of my kids were at the point where they're like, I don't want to be there. And so when he did that, it threw a curveball at me. I've been trying to keep us out of court. I did not want to go that route because I don't need nobody else to tell us what we need to do with our kids. That's something that you and I can discuss. But unfortunately, I get that that's his wife. And, he goes and he talks to her. But she's now have a part of her influence and opinion has him and I in this situation that he don't want to be in and I don't want to be in. So he never served me, but I made sure I beat him to it, and he was served in November. And so it's complicated because it's so many different dynamics, and he'll talk to me and he'll literally be by himself and he'll want to have a full conversation with me. He'll be like, LaShonte, I want your attention. I need your attention. When I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. And I'm calling to talk to my kids, or the kids are calling to talk to me. But then when he's in front of his wife, it's a whole different ball game, which, you expect that much. I expect that much. I know. And so it's very, very complicated. It's really ups and downs. And unfortunately, because he's allowing her to play so much of an influence with what should be between me and him, it's causing even more problems.
Right.
Yes.
I totally understand that. I get that. And the funny thing is that I've had bonus moms on the calls, and they have a very different opinion of what their role should be.
Yeah.
And like how involved they should be. And I there's a part of me that's like, I understand with some people it being where she's heavily involved, right? I get it in some cases, but in other cases where it starts off in a really bad way, like your situation where you literally were the whole other woman.
The whole other woman. He was your whole other dude, like.
And now you want to, you might want to work with me first. Like,
you might want to work.
Yeah, we need to grow some type of a rapport so that things don't really go crazy.
Right.
But then, of course, with dad, with the boundaries, he's like, well, I'm going to come see the kids and I'm going to ball all out of control on mom. So they see that and they think, hey, cool, right? And then when they're at the other house, it's like, wait, so mom can't call? Wait, so we do have to stay? So mom, wait, that's very confusing for children.
Very confusing. I kid you not. I kid you not. At the beginning of the year, beginning of last year, he called me and he goes, I want to talk to you about being a blended family. And I'm still, having a hard time with this. This is still not sitting right with me. Of course, me and my kids' life changed dramatically after going from North Carolina to coming to Michigan, and we're living this military lifestyle, which is a whole lifestyle. It really is. And it was very difficult for me to get out of because of so many things that I have become accustomed to and used to. And so it's very different. Our life changed in a big way. And so he called me and he goes, I want to talk to you about being a blended family. I said, Okay, yeah, sure. Like, I get that I gotta do it. I don't like it, but okay, I'll do it. And so he's talking to me. He's like, I want you to go on vacations with us. I want us to go to Disney World and I want you to be there with me. And I was like, I understand where you are, but I'm not there. And I need for you to understand that. Now, I'm okay with if you want to take the kids to Disney World, have at it. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't want to be as involved with what you're doing with them, especially when your wife is there. And I get that she's your wife. I respect that. But her and I don't have that relationship. I don't want to go somewhere or be there and we're supposed to be having fun and all those different things like that. But I can't because we're uncomfortable. Because no matter how you want to try to twist and turn it, I feel like an apology is owed from both of you. Because there was definitely boundaries that was crossed and it was very disrespectful, not only to me and your wife, but even her to her husband. And you were disrespectful to her husband and what they have. And she was disrespectful. I said, and so there's a conversation that needs to be had and you can't try to cover it up with money or I want to do this for you or can you do. And so I said, you know what, let me think about this. I really need to pray on this. This is not something that I can just give you an answer on. And I left it at that. And then in July, like I said, when they called me with the conversation, we talked part of why the time I was in TJ Maxx. And then I told him I would call them back because I was out. So I called them later on. And he goes, I talked to Gabrielle. I called them later on. I called them twice. And his wife wasn't there. So he was really loose and really comfortable.
I was going to say, so you got a different person. Not the person who told you I'm about to put you on child support, but someone else.
Not someone totally different. And so, no, they ended up calling me back the third time. So the third time we were on the phone, our daughter is there. And he goes, I talked to Gabrielle and she said she does want to be here because she doesn't want to leave her brothers. She's really confused because she does, when she's here, she misses you. And when she's there, they miss me. And I said, okay, I get that. I understand. I said, well, let me talk to Gabrielle and just kind of see where she's at. So I purposely turned on the video. I want to see my child's face. I said, hey, Gabrielle, how you doing? We're talking. I want to loosen her up. I don't want her to feel stressed out or that, you know,
she has to pick a side.
That she has to pick and choose because I've been really big with my kids on that. I'm not going to force you to be here if you don't want to be here. I don't want you to feel like you're being forced to be there. So I get on the phone. I say, hey, Gabrielle, how are you feeling? She goes, Mommy, I miss you and I love you. And she's like, and I want to be here with my brothers. And then I was like, okay. I said, I understand that, honey. I said, are you sure? She goes, yeah. And so she's like, but I want to come home too. She's like, I just want us to be together. I don't want to leave my brothers, but I want to be at home. I only want to be here for the summer. And so my kids are very, very expressive. I've always taught them to be expressive. Don't be disrespectful, but definitely say how you feel. I said, because I can't read your mind. And so in order for me to know, you have to express it to me. And so Gabrielle continues to go. She goes, Mommy, this wasn't the plan. We were supposed to come back. And I said, I know. I said, but sometimes plans change and things happen that we're just not expecting or ready for. And so we're on camera. He takes the phone from our daughter and he goes, Gabrielle, maybe in the near future when everything is better, you, me, Mommy, your brothers, Miss Taya, who is his wife, maybe we can all live together in the same house. To our 9-year-old. And his wife was sitting right there. And so I'm stuck after that because what did you just say?
Right. And that's a kid's dream. They're like, oh, Mom and Dad in the same house. I don't have to pick.
Same house. Yeah.
That's a dream for them. She probably was like, oh, okay.
Gabrielle is excited. She said, oh, okay, Daddy, that would be nice. And then I'm sitting here. You just said that to our 9-year-old in front of your wife, which further lets me know for you to feel so comfortable with saying that, this is a conversation that's been had. And so I'm sitting here and I prayed and I talked to God and God had already confirmed it for me. But that just really put the icing on the cake because he had been asking me to move back to North Carolina before he was stationed out in Georgia. He wanted to get me a house. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so that just kind of confirmed it for me. But it's kind of one of those, you know, I want my cake and kind of eat it too. And I just it's a lot of different dynamics with this whole thing. But one of the most interesting things I will say with this is that him and his wife, making decisions as it concerns the kids with them being there, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But they make decisions on what I should do with my life, or where I should go, or what I should be a part of or involved in, or and all these different things. And I was like, you can't do that. You and I are no longer married.
Right.
I am your ex-wife. That is your current wife. Focus over there. Y'all too busy worrying about me and wanting me to be over in y'all space. And I don't want that. I have absolutely no interest in being anybody's sister wife. None. None. I don't want to be that.
We're just gonna grow some sister wives over here.
We're just gonna grow some sister wives. It sounds like, if you still, if that's what you wanted, then you would have made a better choice and decision. Because mind you, I did leave him. I did not divorce him. He served me with divorce papers. And that was after he served me less than a month of being back in Michigan, literally probably like 2 weeks. He had me served at my grandmother's house with child support papers and custody papers. Yes. And he was about to go to Korea.
I was gonna say, you're in the military. What are you getting custody of?
What? And mind you, the whole time we were married, I've been a stay-at-home mother and wife, and he knows this. So what? And so he did that the day I was originally supposed to leave. He did admit to me because he was upset. He was in his feelings. That's why he did it.
I was going to say, what spiteful reason was behind that?
Yep,
because it sounded like there was a spiteful reason behind it.
Because it was the day I was actually leaving to go from North Carolina to Michigan. And I guess he didn't believe that I was really going to leave. But he literally came in our house one day and was like, I'm about to go to Korea, so I don't know what you and the kids are going to do. And so I had to make a choice at the drop of a hat. Okay, am I going back to Colorado, or am I going to Michigan where my family is, where I can afford it? Mm-hmm. Because you came in our home and you said, what are you going to do? You got to figure it out.
Right.
And so it's so many different dynamics, so many different things to look at. But I will say again, like I said, the influence that his wife has on him plays a really big role on it. And boundaries is a big thing. I have finally gotten to the point, especially since the summer and everything that happened and that with what went down, that I don't want us to be in court. I would rather we not. I don't want to do that. He stopped the papers because we were agreeing, we were on the same page. I said, but I can't afford for you to, and my kids, I don't want them going through that. That's a lot. I said, I can't afford for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep the kids for the summer, and then you think that you could just make up your mind on your own that they're going to be here for a year, or they're going to be here for 2 years. Like, you can't do that. And that's not you have to make that choice and decision with me. We're parenting together. I said, and I understand that she needs to be involved in some choices, but she definitely doesn't need to be involved in any, because when you go to court and they're like, okay, well, no, you're not the parent. And both of these parents are very active in their children's life. And so you need to go sit down somewhere, because you're going to get this man into trouble. And unfortunately, that's just kind of what it's come down to.
Right. So yes, I agree that, like, if you have any, as a wife, if you have any say, like if you want to have a say in the conversation, then yeah, you and your husband sit down and have that conversation, either prior to him and I talking, or me and him talk, and then you guys go and decide what you want to do and how it will affect your household, or whatever. But there definitely does need to be a conversation. I'm gonna have to get the stepmoms on a call. We're gonna have to do like a call with everybody, because the differing, like, people have so many different opinions about it and thoughts, and like how it should be or how they do it, that as I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've heard differently from a bonus mom or a stepmom. So I'm very interested in how that conversation will go. But I definitely think that the two parents should have some form of a conversation.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, if you of course, since you're married, you have to have that conversation with your spouse,
right,
to keep them involved in what's going on. Because if I say, our children want to come to your house for the summer, or our children want to come to your house for the year, I can say whatever I want. That's not my house. You still have to go back to your spouse and say, the kids want to come here for a year. How are we feeling about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that part, I understand. That part I totally respect. I don't have an issue with that at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. They have to make whatever choices, and decisions for their household. So I totally get that. But yeah, sir, let's talk. You can't switch it up in the middle.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Like if I'm agreeing and I brought the kids to you, I'm not keeping our kids from him. I've never used them to threaten him. Now, I will be totally honest with you. Of course, I've had those selfish moments where I don't want to deal with you at all. I would rather pay you off to live somewhere happy for the rest of your life than to ever have to deal with you. And that's just a really honest and transparent thoughts that have come through my mind and I've thought about. But I understand that my kids need to have that relationship with their dad. And so I've been, being the parent, like I said, where I have been the cooperative parent. I took our kids to you. I don't have a problem with that. And so, and I get that you have a wife and you need to be able to talk to her. And, I get all of that. That's totally fine. Again, I don't have a problem with that. The problem is the switching up. And if you're telling me one thing and then there's boundaries that still needs to be there, because with being a bonus mom, if that's what you're doing and that and you're in that type of relationship, and that's fine, that's one thing, but there are still boundaries everywhere.
Absolutely.
There's boundaries. I'm not going to cross the boundaries and be like, I don't tell this man to buy or do nothing for me. He do it on his own.
Right.
But it's not like I'm going to go and say, okay, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, or I need you to get me clothes and do all of this. I don't need you to do none of that for me. None of it.
Right.
Because I don't want to be in between nobody's mess. And I definitely ain't becoming in between nobody's marriage, regardless of how it started. Because I know what the word says about it.
I know that's
right. So, there needs to be boundaries. Unfortunately, what I can say for him is something that I've known for a long time is he has a hard time setting those boundaries, especially with the women that's in his life. And so
he's just gonna do everything to keep everyone happy.
To try to keep everyone happy, yes. To try and keep everyone happy, yes.
Yeah,
and so that plays a really big part.
He's thinking it's keeping the peace, but it's actually causing a lot of chaos and confusion in the back.
Yes, it's causing more chaos. It's causing more confusion. My kids are confused. They're like, okay, when you talking to mommy, like him and our daughter, they went to Walmart and I'm talking to her and my daughter goes, mommy, they get in the car and she goes, mommy, everybody misses you. Everybody misses you. I said, I miss her too. And she says, and everybody loves you too. Daddy, don't you love mommy? Yeah, I really love her. And the kids already have it in their mind that we're going to get back together and we're all going to live together and kumbaya. And it's not that. And another thing, is that you can't, I will talk to her now. We can be cordial. Me and her have definitely had some words. But we're at the point now where we can have a cordial conversation. But unfortunately, when I'm talking to her, she's in the background, or he will not talk to me about our children or about our business without her. And normally I end up on the phone with her and I'm not talking with him. And that's a problem because her and I don't have that type of relationship yet where I feel comfortable talking about anything business related, especially with our kids, to her. And so we can talk, okay, hey, if one of the kids gets sick, what happened? Okay, hey, they can take this, they can't take that, different things along those lines, but we don't have a friendship. Right. And that's, again, a lot of this starts with how it started. It would be different if him and I are divorced and then they got together and all this different stuff like that. But because a lot of how this happened is why we are where we are. Not to mention him and I weren't even legally divorced yet before they were married. And so, yeah. And so it's literally like, it's not because, I don't, if he marries somebody else, he's with somebody else, I do not care. I could care less. Girl, keep him, please.
I already know what he's all about. But the funny thing is that if a person were to see or hear your story and they would be like, oh, she's bitter. She's the bitter baby mama.
Oh, yeah.
Not knowing the back, I've heard it all. The backstory of like, there's a reason why it's difficult to get to a space of being able to co-parent the
Yes.
proper way. And it's
Yes.
a lot because of his the way he moves. Like
Yes.
one moment he's like, I'm gonna buy you a house, and here's all this grocery for your place, and here's the money for the rent. And then when he is in front of his wife, then it's I think you should pay child support while the kids are here with me for the
Yep.
summer. Like,
Yep.